folks. Well, you've already seen all the professional reviews, but now it's my turn. Is this car slot car of the year? Very well could be. It has a lot going for it. It has visual appeal, it has the history, racing history, and it has performance in scale, and that's a hard combo to beat. Anyway, we're going to get right on with it. A couple of reactions from a couple of my local racers and doing some laps, but I have to tell you, everything, all the good stuff you've heard, it's true. It's a really nice slot car. So let's get right to it. Okay, what do you think of it?
It's cool.
That's the
I want one.
Yeah. Yep. See, there you go, guys. That's the honest review right there. I want one.
Yeah.
Looks cool. There you go. Review over. Just do an honest reaction here. Brew, do me a favor,
Yes, sir.
please. What do you think of that?
What I think of it?
Yeah, that's the latest Thunderslot. Ferrari,
Well, it's a nice finish.
isn't it?
It's not dirty. Must not have been on the track yet.
No, not yet.
Oh.
Not in anger.
I might have to get one.
Yeah. There we go. That's as good as it gets right
That's a
there.
Thunderslot.
Yep, Thunderslot. I thought I'd do something different here. Just showing you what I do. Get a new car, do some research. And researching about the real car, the one-to-one car, is fascinating. That's a lot of the hobby for me, is learning about these cars. I did not grow up watching these cars. I grew up in the Midwest on a dirt track oval, okay? I wasn't there, but I sure like reading about it. And this hobby has educated so much on sports car racing, endurance racing, just the history of it. So I really like it. Anyway, you won't find any shortage of information on this Ferrari. Okay, so I just did your standard Google search, and I went to Ferrari for some data. Right, they have a short little deal here on the car, not very much, but they do have specifications right here. So wheelbase, front track. Now I'll tell you this, anybody that's been anywhere near Facebook or any of the sports car groups, you could post a photo of the real car with somebody with a tape measure there, and there'll be 197 comments, most of them, you know, my brother's sister's whatever, her best friend's boyfriend used to have that car, and that's the different chassis, or that's not the right car. And then the next post will be, well, you shouldn't have used a Craftsman, you know, tape measure, you should have used a Binford, this and that. No one can agree on anything, but I tell you what, the specs here, this is from the Ferrari site, so I'll kind of go with that, but you can find them anywhere. And Ultimate Car page, they have some great images of the car. They have a great article on the history there, and a really nice image gallery, which is nice to go through, you know, when you're looking at you know, the prototype, looking at the shape of the car, and going back to the specs. Well, you know, I can tell you that they got close. Okay, I mean, Thunderslot, they do make concessions, and a lot of companies do the same thing. A little bit of scale here and there. So I have the numbers from my measurement from Mr. Miditoyo here. Then the one-to-one data that came from the website, and then to scale. And I just, I'm lazy. I can tell you right now, I like my scale converter tool, so it just converts it for me. But you can do the math if you want, but I'm lazy. Anyhow, as you can see, I'll post a graphic there. It's not perfect, okay? It's far from it, but that's okay for me. If it isn't for you, then of course, yeah, you pass on it. You just don't buy it. So I'll put the numbers up here. I'll make a little graph and everything, but nothing fancy, just some basic research. And again, the car isn't perfect. If it's not, good enough for you, hey, simply pass on it. But I'll tell you what, you probably don't want to, because it's a pretty cool slot car. Anyhow, we'll get on with the rest of the testing. Just thought I'd share this with you. Hope you found it interesting. So there we've discussed that, the dimensions, it's not perfect, 100% perfect. And there's one other thing too, and that's the absence of the Ferrari logos. For me, it really doesn't mean anything. But don't blame Thunderslot. If you're going to write anybody, write Ferrari, okay? I think it's fine without them. And as you've seen, at least on our forum, you can download, print your own logos if it means that much. But it's really a non-issue for me, especially at speed. Up close photos and everything, that's one thing. But the 3-foot rule and out here at speed racing, the absence of those logos really doesn't bother me. I did have a little bit of fun though, just to show you right there on the front. All I did was I took a little bit of tester's paint and a toothpick, and I just put a little spot there, and then just a Sharpie, and gave it a little horse in there, or at least that's what it looks like, again, at a distance. The placement, if you look at prototype photos of 27, the restored car, and original photos, the logo goes inside the roundel or below it, or just on the edge. The size is a little bit different here on the model, but so I just kind of put it right there after one of the old photos. But the rest of the car, the fit and finish, the paintwork on this car is beautiful. Like I said, it's by the numbers. No, it's not perfect, but neither are any of the other cars. Matter of fact, I'd say about 99.9% of the cars in my collection aren't perfect. So, the absence of the logos, the licensing, and that kind of thing, and the liberty, so to speak, in scale, if that's enough to stop you from owning the car, so be it. I think you're doing yourself, like I've said, almost a disservice. This is one of the finest running slot car series, and I mean series, in our hobby. Thunderslot has created a good one, and they're just enjoyable to drive, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. Nothing's changed much, and I like that with them. Just a consistent model. Haven't had one disappoint me yet. Anyway, on the outside, the paintwork, the fit and finish, everything is, at least for me, more than good enough. It's a beauty. And now let's give it some laps, huh? All right, on the inside, no surprises, and that's a good thing. It'll fit in with the rest of the series. If you're just new to Thunderslot, get used to this view, because it looks a whole lot like all the other cars. And remember, that's a good thing. Mach 21 motor, Sidewinder configuration. I bench tested it at 22,175. That's just about average. 11 to 32 gearing, fully adjustable front axle. You have your set screws here on the top and in the bottom. I've got it set right at the what I think is a good sweet spot tripod, but we'll see. Only testing is going to tell us that. As far as the wheels and the tires go, I like the stock tires. We're going to stay with those in our testing. I like the wheels that Thunderslot have done, where they have the inner rib, that middle rib right there. That helps for aftermarket tire fitment. It's not completely an air gap. And speaking of those aftermarket tires, if you're in the mood for silicone, you can just try the TS03 firm or extra firm. Actually, the extra firm have been performing really well on our track surface. So I've tried these and they work great, and I like this size. So Quick Slicks TS03. And for urethane, of course, Paul Gauge all the way. There is no substitute. 2010-5 LM. I like this size. glue it on. Always want to glue, and then you can sand this down and get that sweet spot on the diameter. And finally, we'll talk about some tools. You are going to need some specialty wrenches here. First of all, you're going to need the TX6, and that's going to be for your pod assembly here, and for the body to the chassis, you're going to need that. So the TX6, make sure you have one of those on hand. Then you're going to need 1.3 aka 50 thousandths, and that's going to be for the wheels and the axle, the gear right here. So you're going to need that, and for your front axle adjustment, you're going to need this 1.3. So write that down. And then finally, of course, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, and that is for the screws that they use to mount the motor to the pod, which I'm glad that they include those. Not everybody does. Anyway, there's a rundown. If you didn't have enough tools, hey, it's time to go shopping. Now, I've lubricated this. I've just tightened it up, just double checked everything. We're going to button it up, get it out here on the track, box stock. And I'll tell you, she's going to go. Yes, exactly what I expected. Like I said, we just went through, adjusted the set screws, made sure everything was tight, front axle adjusted, brake to making contact, and just backed off those pod screws just a little bit for some float. No tire change, no modifications, just the way it comes out of the box. And man, what a beauty. Wow. Man, I don't know. I hope that you get one, or any of the Thunderslots in this Can-Am series, because they're all going to do what this one's doing right now, and that's making my face hurt because I'm smiling so much. And that's what it's all about. Yeah, 3.4, 3.3. I'm not even pushing it yet. We haven't done any advanced tuning. This is just out of the box. Whoa. 3301. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Leave it to me. Anyway, that should tell you everything you need to know. My final thoughts. Yeah, big thumbs up. This car was needed in the series, and they did it. They delivered. Thunderslots put a lot of effort into this this Can-Am for us, and as you can see back here, this was just absolutely necessary. And again, I just appreciate the hard work it took to get us here. So thank you. Big thumbs up from me. It's not perfect. We've talked about that. If the issues are enough for you to pass on it, so be it. But I think you're doing yourself a disservice. If you haven't tried one, haven't experienced Thunderslot yet, this could be your time. I recommend it. Anyway, appreciate all the views, the likes, the comments. As always, look forward to talking to you all online. We'll see you there.